Movement. You should have the ability to ask any questions in the bottom right-hand corner. Can everybody see my screen? It should have the opening slide for our presentation. Brilliant. Thank you very much. So in terms of those that don't know who we are, we support educational organizations and businesses to get the most from their recruitment and marketing budgets. We work with a wide range of different organizations that are purpose-led as well, so B Corp, charities, schools, educational organizations. Um, Today we are going to be going through a wide range of different areas of improvement for job adverts to get the most from what we're kind of looking at. We also have a number of resources on our website. We have a number of blogs and articles about the topic as well, so do have a look through those. But also feel free to book in a conversation with us if you've got any questions about how some of the topics that we're going to go through today will apply to your organization. So we've been supporting on this as a topic for over 24 years. We've got about 360 different media options that we work with each year. So this is spread across a lot of different platforms, and it's based on about 5,000 annual campaigns each year as well. We'll be talking a little bit about how to benchmark your data. So what does the data from your job adverts mean? Then we'll talk about, okay, so you've got high number of views, but but low number of applied clicks. What are the solutions? What are the tips that you can be applying to that to make an improvement? Um, we'll also talk a little bit about LinkedIn and searching for the right job title, how that can be incredibly important to improve the quality of your job adverts. We'll touch on some of the things that are really relevant to audiences at the moment in terms of their career motivators. And then an important topic, which I think has probably seen a bit of decrease in focus in the last 12 months or so, diversity and inclusion. How can you make your job adverts open to a wider range of people? So let's start with the data for your job adverts. If you currently work with us or you work with a similar company, you should be able to get easy access to your data. Just ask us or ask the company that you work with to get your job advert data. So, for example, if you're a school, you might be using test data, you might use Guardian data. If you are another organization, it might be a variety of platforms like CV Library or Total Jobs. And that data is typically broken down into three areas: job advert views, apply clicks, and the click-through rate. That click-through rate is very important for all marketing agencies, media planning companies, because we use that to understand, out of 100 people viewing something, what's your conversion rate into those people taking an action. So when you get your data, anything between 100 to 250 views would be a good level of views. It means your advert's ranking in a good position, it's getting seen by enough people, and then to convert between 12 to 22 of those people into clicking through to apply for your job would would be a good level. Never base your success solely on that click-through rate, because your percentage might be very, very low because you might have lots and lots of views, or it might be a very hard to fill job. And therefore, you only need a small percentage of people to actually click through, because you don't want to be filtering people in and out who are perhaps completely irrelevant to that job vacancy. In terms of leadership roles, you'll typically see the number of views increases dramatically, but your click-through percentage rate often stays the same. That's simply because a lot of people click on leadership roles to find out more, or just to be nosy, or they're looking to see because it's relevant for them in terms of their career progression, but they're not suitable for it right now. Um, so straight away, this is something you can take away and do. You can request your data and you can see what your average number of users and your average number of applied clicks. If you wanted to then benchmark yourself against others, we know that in the UK, the current UK average is 10% across all sectors. And then within the education sector, for example, and the charity sector as well, 6% is the average. It's difficult for those sectors. They perhaps can't attract people with such high salaries. They don't necessarily always have the ability to offer the same levels of flexible working and hybrid working. So that does account for some of it. However, there are a number of things that you can do to get yourself into that 6 to 10% range, and then hopefully start looking to improve so that you're converting between 10 to 15% of everybody that views your job advert. So, in terms of understanding that data, what can it be? What can it be meaning? Where you have a high number of views and low apply clicks, there are a number of things, but typically it's an issue with how you're ranking in the search results for particular search terms. The most common of which is an incorrect job title. So if you called your role something, you might be ranking very high for that search term. But if people then read your job advert and they realize, actually, this isn't what I thought it would be, they're very unlikely to convert into an apply click. And therefore, that's going to damage your data. But it's also going to mean that you've got a much lower chance of filling that position. Sometimes you might be ranking really well for incorrect terms. So if you are talking about particular software platforms that that person's going to be using in the job role, you might be ranking very high for those terms. People might be searching them. They might be areas of their expertise, but it doesn't mean they can necessarily do the job that you are advertising for. Sadly, it could be because you're unable to offer a competitive salary, or importantly, because you're not advertising a salary. So you rank very high, you reach the right audience, but you don't convert them because you're not offering the salary range or highlighting the salary in a way that they'd expect. Um, in terms of the most difficult element here to kind of understand, it's the ability to write engaging content. So when a large number of people view your job advert, but you don't convert many, sadly, a good portion of the time that's because your advert isn't engaging, and it's simply not persuading people to click through to your job advert on your website or click to apply using the quick apply button. If we go to the other end of the scale, so you're not getting many views, but you convert a good percentage of those people, there are good reasons and there's bad reasons why that might happen. It could just be a very niche job role. So there's very few people out there, but you're getting a high number of clicks when those people do view it, which is to be expected. And therefore, you're actually in a really good position. It could be that your job advert is poorly optimized. So you're looking at the wrong keywords, you're using the wrong job title. And therefore, when people search for those keywords, you're not coming up in the search results. Incorrect job title can indicate high views and low apply clicks. It can also indicate low views and high apply clicks. It could be that there's a great salary, so the job could be particularly challenging. That reduces the chance of people viewing the job advert, but those that do are persuaded to apply. It could be that there's too much competition. So if everybody is advertising for that job role, you're likely to rank a lot lower in the search results and therefore convert a lot a lot fewer people. And sadly, it could also be because you are ranking high in the search results, but people aren't viewing your job advert because you've got poor reputation in the employer marketplace. Maybe that's because of your sector, maybe that's because of your reputation as an employer, maybe that's because of negative reviews online. It can be a variety of different things, but it is worth considering. If you keep getting low views and high apply clicks for your job adverts, could there be something which is damaging our reputation? Does anybody have any questions at all about how to interpret the data to understand what the issues could be? Perfect. So, in terms of what are the solutions there, if you're working let's start with the data. It can be quite an intensive task to gather all that data. We're very happy to do that for you if you're a current client, or we're very happy to talk to you if you don't currently work with us about getting access to that quality data. If you're struggling with SEO, I think it's a really difficult area to improve in one go. It's something that you continue to do. So consider the keywords people are searching for that particular job, and then focus on those. Repeat those at least 3 times in the body of the advert. And consider as well focusing first of all on the job role, and then the team, then the department, and then you as an employer. Um, in terms of the wrong job title, you can use LinkedIn to search for that. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. But it's really important that you're searching for the things that people are searching for are going to be relevant to their sector. So we'll come on to that and explain what I mean by that in a little while. The job title could just be too long. It's a very simple thing. You don't need LinkedIn to fix that. So remove anything like maternity cover or part-time from the end of the job advert title. Advert length, aim for about 500 words. Some job boards you're allowed to hyperlink through to content, so do consider that if you've got a benefits page, for example, and list all of the benefits that set you apart, not the ones that all of you in the local area or all of your competitors use, because that will be expected. So list things that really make you stand out. The opening paragraph needs to be really engaging. So sell the job role, not you as an organization. Move on to that once you've gathered interest using that first opening paragraph. Sometimes you can't do much about the salary, but benchmark your salary. At least then, if you understand whether you're paying low, medium, or high, at least then you can understand your job advert data a lot better. So in terms of the using LinkedIn, very simple instructions on how to do this. Literally search for both of the job titles that you're considering. So say you're looking at recruitment manager or talent acquisition manager, search for the first one, see the number of results that you get, and then view some of those profiles. Are those people having the suitable experience that you require? Are they having sector experience that you require? Then search for the next job title, see how the numbers compare, and then see how it's impacted in terms of the ratio of people that work within your sector. I know for a fact that recruitment managers used a lot more in the education sector and charity sectors than it is in IT, for example, where talent acquisition manager is used more commonly. And the reason I know that is because when I search on LinkedIn, I can see the number of people and the sectors they work for, and I click on those profiles and I get a better understanding of their experience and their sector knowledge as well. In terms of then taking that job title and using something like AI to generate that advert, I'd be exceptionally cautious with this. We know that the increase in bias is quite significant, so it can skew your advert by about 40%. And it also makes it harder for people to rule themselves in or out of applying for a job because it's regurgitating very generic content. So I'd only ever advise that you do it for gathering ideas in terms of how you can improve your job advert, and not necessarily writing the job advert from scratch or writing too much of the content from it. In terms of what are people looking for? Um, we know that the things that motivate people, and I don't expect you to be able to necessarily see the tiny print at the bottom here, but in terms of what motivates people at the moment, it is down to relationships. So the things that are above the second to top line, which is 250, they're the things that are really high motivators for people based on the research that we've done. And they talk about the opportunity to grow in the role, the opportunity to learn new things, the ability to contribute new ideas, the level of responsibility they have, and the relationship with their colleagues. We know that in terms of the highest motivators from doing this for the last 6 years, that relationships are the most important and the most consistent element of attracting people. So talk about how supportive your managers are, talk about how managers work, but also talk about the relationship they're going to have with colleagues. Are people willing to engage with you no matter what level of seniority, or do you get pushed down the chain to talk to your manager, who talks to their manager, who talks to their manager? Talk about the positives of those relationships, um, and reinforce it with testimonials across your website and your job adverts as well. Um, as I mentioned, we have seen quite a significant drop in the focus on diversity and inclusion in the last year. And we know that a good portion of that is because there's so many challenges out there in terms of recruitment. But we also know that it's become quite complicated to recruit in a diverse way, because the tools just haven't been promoted out. But there are things called gender decoders which can help you, and they look at the words used in. I think the results in this was something like 10 million job adverts, and then it looks at the equal opportunities information. And it says um, females are typically attracted to job adverts using these words, and males are typically attracted to adverts using these words based on the data points that they have. So, for example, here it's saying that typically, of course, not in every situation, but typically words like lead, analyze, and competitive are more focused on attracting males to apply for a job advert, and support, responsibility, understanding is more geared to attracting more females than males to your job advert. So you can use these tools to improve your job adverts to make them more balanced and inclusive. In terms of how you can improve your job advert, from a candidate point of view when you're stuck, a really good way of doing this is to start to ask people questions. So when they come in for interview, or even when they inquire about a role but don't go on to apply, find out what questions they have and get more information from them so that you can add them to a mailing list, or you can add them to a survey list, or you can just be adding their questions to a question and answer section. A lot of times, if people can't find the answer to their question, they will not apply for the job. And if you don't know what questions to write, then you're going to be very, very stuck. And the best way to find out what questions to write about would be basically to start asking people. So in terms of the questions that you have, does anybody have any questions for me, or any particular roles that they're struggling with that they might have a question or two about?